Here are today's top headlines. The government's key witness in the staged collision's murder for hire trial took the stand today. Sean Alfordish, a former Kenner magistrate judge, and Leon Parker face charges including conspiracy to commit witness tampering by murder. Ryan Harris has already pleaded guilty to staging accidents and his involvement in the murder of Cornelius Garrison. Today, Harris told the jury he recruited people to participate in wrecks with 18-wheelers and that he and Garrison were paid per passenger, first by the King law firm, then by Sean Alfordish. Garrison was shot and killed in September 2020 after he started cooperating with the FBI. We'll have live updates from Paul Murphy outside the courthouse coming up later in the show. New this afternoon, officials believe they found the body of a missing Baton Rouge teen. 15-year-old Jadarius Manyweather was last seen in June, and a massive search of the city's landfill began soon after. Investigators say they believe Manyweather was killed during a fight with 51-year-old Maurice Parms. Now, Parms has since been arrested on a first-degree murder charge and is being held at the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. Belle Chasse High School has posted a tribute to the teen who fell to his death in the long-abandoned Plaza Tower. 17-year-old Jacques St. Anne died over the weekend. Now, this morning, the school said he was, quote, an outstanding student and, more importantly, an exceptional young man who made a lasting impact on those around him. The community plans to hold a vigil in his honor tomorrow night at the school's football field. Today, Amazon announced that they'll be opening a new data center in Shreveport. It's the third one for the company in Northwest Louisiana. Officials say all three amount to an $18 billion investment and will bring 750 permanent jobs to the area. But the expansion comes as debate over data centers continues nationwide, with concerns over natural resource and electricity use, as well as the recent controversy over the use of non-disclosure agreements about those projects. Right now, a joint practice is kicking off between the New Orleans Saints and the Dallas Cowboys, but it's not the only one happening this week as the team prepares to take on the Los Angeles Rams this weekend in their second preseason game. And it's all going down in California, which is where we find our very own Ricardo LeCompte. Ricardo, out in sunny California. How you doing out there?
You know, Lily, I'm doing fantastic, and I'll say this. It is right now 84 degrees in Oxnard. There's a nice breeze, no humidity, pristine conditions to play football. I know that you guys are dealing with a heat advisory there in New Orleans right now, so I'm, first of all, sorry. But second of all, the Saints are probably going to get some really good work here in this weather. And yes, you mentioned the two joint practices this week for the Saints. And honestly, this is going to be the best work that this first team, the Saints team, will have going against the Cowboys, going against the Rams on Thursday. Two quality teams from last year. You're looking at a Cowboys team with a quarterback in Dak Prescott, who threw for over 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns last year. That offense was a top 3 offense in the NFL last season. And then on Thursday, they'll play a Rams team that was another top offense in the NFL with MVP Matthew Stafford. So this defense, especially for the Saints, is going to get some good tests in terms of good work and seeing where they are in terms of getting their system down in the second year of Brandon Staley's system, and just to see if they can react, use that instincts, and really know the knowledge that they have. Now, the teams, when they do these joint practices, real quick, Lily, the joint practices, they're not really scheming to beat the other team. They're really just trying to run their stuff and run it to the best of their ability. So the offense is just going to try to build from last week what they did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That offense looked in rhythm. Tyler Shuck probably had one of his best practices of training camp. They're going to try to keep that rhythm going in this joint practice against the Cowboys. And same for the defense, which is able to stop the Jacksonville Jaguars offense for most of that practice outside of going into the red zone. But really, it's just to see if these teams can read, react, know their stuff, and show it out on this practice field. And that's what hopefully we'll see in these 2 hours here in Oxnard.
Anything in particular you're going to be paying attention to, Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching the wide receivers, and we heard news on Monday that Jordan Tyson is expected to miss 2 months with a hamstring injury, and that is a big loss. Obviously, it's the first-round pick. They were hoping to get a lot out of him to start this regular season, to pair him with Chris Olave in this wide receiver room. So I want to see if any of these other receivers can step up. there's two other rookies in former LSU receiver Barryon Brown and Bryce Lance that have looked good in training camp. Can they carry that over in this week in these joint practices and probably say, hey, you know what, I can replace Jordan Tyson when the season starts? You have Kevin Austin, a veteran who's also done very well in camp. Can he take that next step? So there are a couple of those receivers and that whole wide receiver room in general. I'm going to be watching to see who could step up with this loss of Jordan Tyson.
All right, Ricardo Lecomte for us in California. Thanks so much. And remember, you can always find the latest Saints news and all of today's headlines on our website, social media pages, and our free app for your phone or television.